Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build NBA edition, NBA Cup Day. This is Tuesday. Over at DraftKings, we're going to hopefully help you win. This is Taylor and Kevin getting ready to break down this tiny-ass slate. It is just a two-gamer, but at least it's not showdown. So hopefully we can point you in the right direction, give you a leg up on the top plays that we like as far as how you can gain leverage on the field as well. All right, let's get to it. But before we do, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and come join us in Discord. That is 100% free. If you want our premium plays for the slate and for everything else that we do, just $5.99 a month over at dfsbuild.com. Be sure to take advantage of that. All right, Miami visiting the Magic at the Kia Center. This is a very tight spread, 1.5 points. Yeah, you like that I knew the stadium? Or
yeah,
the arena?
I had no idea.
And a very high, they change like all the time. It's like, it's just another product. It's like next time it'll be Target or something, you know? But anyways, this is a really good total. The last game was 106-105 between these two teams. And back in the first game of the year, they played to, I think it was a 126-121 game. That's the type of game that we're looking at that we want out of this. But given the stakes, like, I don't know how high of stakes it is for NBA Cup, like how much people take it seriously, but potentially it's not as much of a shootout as the first time, and maybe it's more like what we saw in the last meeting. Either way, Miami is pretty much at full strength here. I think Drew Smith is questionable, but who gives a shite? The other side, you have Banchero back, Franz out. That's pretty much the big swap for Orlando. On the Miami side, it's not as positive of a matchup it is for the Magic guys, but there are good plays here. So you got Bam, you got Norm, and you got Hero to start it off. What's your interest level in those guys?
Yeah, I think Bam is the best. Don't love that he's center only. Like, it's annoying that he and Ware are both center only, but he's just the one who's most glaringly underpriced at 79 on DK. It's not even a good spot. Like, Orlando's a good rim defense. It is a fast-paced game. Orlando does play fast as well. I think these teams were like 28th and 29th in pace, and now Miami's first, and I think Orlando's 11th. So different environment than they had last year. He smashed them the other day. I think Hero might have missed that game.
He did.
So not the same situation. Certainly not expecting 50 whatever he had in that game. Mm-hmm. But he's affordable. The matchup is whatever. Like, we're not really going to fall in love with everything on a 2-game slate.
Right.
So I think he's a good play. I think Hero's okay. I'm not super psyched about it. The price tag looks a little bit cheap. He had a toe injury he was dealing with the past couple games, so should be fairly full. He only missed, I think, a game or two. Mm-hmm. Mitchell is back after missing the weekend. I think at 5'5", he's fine. Just always kind of a decent filler play. He's like the Wendell Carter of point guards, just like not really ever going to get a ceiling, but the floor is pretty good.
Never who you want to be.
Pretty good. No, it's not. Looks like Norm Powell's going to be chalk. I assume that's a product of his positional stuff. Shooting guard, small forward, and he's under 7K. Usage comes down with Hero back, so he's not the smash he would have been without Hero, but I'm okay with it. If he's owned by half the field, I think that's something you can fade. And then the rest of the stuff, like Wiggins, is not exciting. Jaquez minutes should come back down. Ware off the bench, not super interested. I think Ware in large field stuff is okay. Just kind of hunting a ceiling, but nothing too exciting. I think Bam's the best thing here by a lot, and then everything else is just kind of leftovers.
I mean, if this is really where the ownership's going to be, all this chalk at Norm, Wiggins, and Bam, like Bam is the one that I wouldn't mind eating. Like, that seems like just a good play. All your points register. Like, it's not the best spot in the world or anything, but he did smash it 2 games ago. And there just isn't much else for us to go get. I will say, though, if he's going to be chalky and, like, you know, we'll see about the status of Cat, but if a Cat's in and he's not owned because of the price, that could be interesting to go up and get Cat instead of Bam. But right now, I like Bam. I don't have a problem with them. I'm okay with Norm. I'm okay with Wiggins. But if they're going to get the ownership and Hero's going to get overlooked, Hero all day on a 2-game slate, I think that is the better play for tourneys. But if you land on those guys, I'm okay with it. Same with Davion Mitchell, 5.5 for him. And I'm with you on everything else. All those other guys, if they get into your lineup, there's nothing wrong with it. And they're not going to be very owned. So there's always incentive there. On the other side, Banchero should get about 30 minutes, maybe because of the magnitude of the game. We'll see him play a little bit more. Good tourney play because he's not going to be super owned. He's not cheap, and there's the minutes cap. So that plus no Wagner, like, I think he's interesting for tournaments. I don't think that's how I want to get different though, because obviously the floor is just going to be lower than it normally would be. I think Bane and Suggs just look like good chalk. Like it's a really good spot against a fast Miami team. It's at home. They're favored. I prefer Suggs over Bane. Anthony Black's gonna be owned. Wendell Carter's gonna be owned. I do not want to go play 4 or 5 Magic. I'm gonna pick my spots here for sure, but all those guys do look pretty good.
Yeah, without Franz and with Wagner, or without Franz and with Banchero likely limited, it's pretty easy to like Suggs, Bane, and Black. And then even De Silva, he's 4K and he should start in place of Franz. Not a fun play, not a good per minute guy at all, but super cheap. Minute should be okay. I think you just have to be very careful with how you play this because Orlando is going to be the obvious chalk team of the day. It's a great spot. Like Miami's first in pace. They are a good defensive team, but the pace kind of outweighs everything else. So Orlando has the highest total on the slate. I think they're slight favorites at home. Suggs is a great play. Bane's a great play. Black's a great play. De Silva's a good play. Wendell Carter, I'm not as interested in, just like he's Wendell Carter. But I don't think you have to do this, but I would strongly consider like a max 2 of the Suggs, Black, Bane trio. There's a chance they all get there, but Banchero is playing. If this were a scenario without both of the forwards, I think you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
And rules in general are less stringent on a 2-game slate, but everyone's going to play those 3 together. A lot of people are going to play them with De Silva. So at some point, you're losing ways to get different from the field. And I think by having a rule that gives you 2 of the 3 of Black, Bane, Suggs, that's different enough. Like fading one of them is going to give you an edge, I think. I think Black's just a very tough fade on DK. 5-4 is cheap. The minutes have been up lately. He and De Silva are the ones that have like the push and pull. Like if Black really gets steamed from a minute standpoint, De Silva's the one losing them. So I would probably not play those 2 in the same lineup together on this slate. It's not a must because it is such a small slate and they are good values individually, but I think it's pretty unlikely that they're both really delivering for you a ceiling tournament winning score in the same game. So consider that. I think it's a Goga slate probably. Like if Wendell Carter is mega owned, Goga off the bench, I don't think Goga is going to see 20 plus minutes, but even if he gets like 15 to 19 minutes, he's so good per minute that he can still get there at 3.9. I'm much more likely to consider a guy like that on a 2-game slate like this. So I think Goga's a good play. I think Jonathan Isaac is pretty thin. Probably don't want to do that. Banchero, I see why you'd play him. I just don't know. Like he's probably going to play 30 minutes. I don't think he's likely to see like 36. So it's kind of tough. I think I would let other people chase that. So Orlando looks good. It's just a matter of how you build with them and make sure that you're getting different within your build.
Yeah, they're going to space out Banchero's minutes for sure. So the only way that elevates, I think, is if it goes into overtime or something, and then maybe he would get more run. Even then, I don't even know if it's definitely guaranteed, depending on what their plan with him is. Love the Goga call as opposed to Wendell. Like obviously, you have Davion Mitchell as a price pivot away from Wendell. That looks pretty good because he's going to be more than he's not going to be half as owned as Wendell. But like you said, like we say this all the time, Wendell just does not have a massive ceiling, and it's not a good spot either against Bam. How do you do in this matchup 2 games ago? 17. So like that is the floor we could be dealing with. It's not like he is the most likely guy to benefit from a usage increase with no Franz. You're looking at Banchero, Bane, Suggs, Black getting that boost, most likely. So while in a vacuum, I think Wendell's a fair value for a 2-game slate. That is somebody I'm going to be going away from. Like the De Silva and Black call, because those guys are very chalky. So probably just playing one of them with Bane and Suggs. Like I think 3 Magic is okay. I think I'm going to probably land on 3. And right now I'm looking at, like, if I had to play 1 Magic guy, it's Suggs. And if I want to play 3, it's going to be Bane, Suggs, and De Silva right now, probably. Just because he opens things up for me a little bit. But if you want that to be Black instead of De Silva, I have no issues with that at all. All right, Knicks and Raptors. This is still also a pretty good game, 225.5 total, 5.5 point spread with the Raptors favored. My guess is that has something to do, or Knicks favored, sorry. that probably tells me that Cat's in. He's probably going to play. But we'll have to see. Obviously, if he is out, Brunson gets steamed up majorly, and he'll be very chalky. Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG, all those guys would get a considerable boost. Miles McBride for sure is not going to play, so that solidifies Mikal Bridges and OG a little bit. And then obviously Jordan Clarkson at 4-2 off the bench. He becomes a little bit more interesting, especially since nobody wants to play him currently. At least that's where it's projecting. So I do have interest in Clarkson as a punt, especially if that's going to hold true and he's not going to get steamed up. Cat and Brunson, as long as Cat is in, they look like pretty interesting tournament spends if you want to get away from Bam.
Yeah, I think Clarkson is my favorite play on the slate at any position, no matter what.
Small forward, baby.
Small forward shooting guard. So like the best positional you can have. 4-2, not projecting to be owned right now. People are playing De Silva at a much higher clip for 200 less, which I get. Like De Silva has a higher minute ceiling, but point per minute wise, like Clarkson's just a better guy, a more prolific producer. Without McBride, I think his minutes are pretty safe. So regardless of the Towns thing, I think Clarkson is someone you should play. I don't think he's a core play because there's risk. Like he could still only play 18 minutes or something, but
right.
I'm willing to take that risk on such a small slate if the ownership's light. The Towns thing's interesting. Like he's 9'4". It's not a great spot, but he's not really a paint center to begin with. He's kind of hovering around the perimeter. So I don't mind it against Pirtle. Pretty good price tag. Not a whole lot else to spend for on this slate. And Towns has a ceiling. Brunson really doesn't typically. I think Brunson is more appealing on small slates like this. He's got a pretty high floor. Totally fine play. If I'm picking one, it's going to be Towns. If Towns is out, Brunson looks a little better, but I think his ownership, it'll be interesting because the other game has all the guard value, and that's the first game, and the Knicks are usually pretty late with their news. So there's no telling when we're going to get that update on Towns, which could leave Brunson kind of low. So I do have interest in that from that standpoint. Towns sitting would also make Anunoby, Bridges, Hart look better. And then Mitchell Robinson would become a pretty good value at 4-2. Should start, I think, anyway, or 4-3 rather. Season high 24 minutes in the last game. Decent per minute guy for big. Not great, but not horrible. And there's just not a lot of other like good cheap value. So I'd like him more than Goga if we get that news in time. So a lot of moving parts. I think Clarkson is the one I'm the most excited about, which is pretty gross. But it's a 2-game slate, so
hey, 2-game slate, and nobody it doesn't, at least based off the ownership projections, it doesn't look like he's going to be very popular, which is amazing on a 2-gamer. What is your stance on like going Clarkson versus De Silva or pairing them? Do you think if you're going to play Clarkson, you shouldn't play De Silva because of the price range, or do you like the idea of getting 2 punts and going and getting a Cat or more than one stud on this slate?
Yeah, I don't have any issue with pairing them. Like, they're obviously not correlated, so no issue with that whatsoever.
All right, over on the Raptors side we go. Scotty Barnes looks great, 8.9K. Very arguably the best stud of the slate, because like really it's not, you don't have a Jokic on this slate, so like Cat is the best like true stud at 9.4K, and then you have not even a 9K Barnes who does have a ceiling and a pretty good floor. Everybody is probably going to be there for the Raptors. Emmanuel Quickley is questionable, Jamal Shedd's questionable. My guess is they both play. It's the same story as ever has been told for Toronto. Barnes, Ingram, Quickley all look great. They're going to take up the usage, probably mostly going to cut into each other. Right now, Ingram's he's the odd guy out in terms of ownership. So just naturally on a 2-game slate where I'm going to be eating a lot of chalk anyways, much like Hero over, Norm Powell and Andrew Wiggins, I have a lot of interest in Ingram over Barnes and Quickley, if that's where the ownership is gonna lie. Pirtle at 5.7, I think he's always going to be in play when he's sub 6K. He is a good permanent guy. They do have size, so maybe we could get him extended a little bit here. So I don't mind that, especially if he's going to be a fraction of the ownership when it comes to Wendell and he's only $500 more. So I like that way more than Wendell Carter. Jamal Shedd, if he's in, is a decent value because he's getting 20 minutes a game. If he's out, I suppose we could do the Jacoby Walter dive because he is small forward eligible as well. Not super psyched about like Mamu off the bench at almost 5K, but I think that's okay just because there's not like a lot of value we should be excited about here. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now with Toronto.
Yeah, earlier I saw Mamu was pulling more ownership than Pirtle, which I feel like is bad. But I guess like people are lacking value on a 2-game slate. If that's the case, I would just play Pirtle. Like I don't have much interest in the chalk Mamukalishvili off the
No.
bench. Quickly got a midday downgrade to Cornwall with this.
Oh, that's sizable.
Typically not a good sign.
That's true.
If he's in, like, I'm excited to play quickly on an illness Q tag. Not really. I think Barnes or Ingram's the best play here. I think like under 8K. Shooting guard eligibility is going to keep his ownership pretty low. I think everyone's just playing Bane at that spot on this slate, which I get, but pretty good pivot. He does get the biggest usage boost on the team without RJ. So don't mind Ingram. I think Barnes is perfectly fine, like you said. Next two of the main three Raptors, if they're all in, typically. Shed, obviously, if Quickly is out and Shed is in, Shed is like suddenly your smash point guard by the slate. Like he should start. He's a good per minute guy, huge assist rate. Not going to take usage from Ingram and Barnes, so those guys in theory look better too. If they're both out, I think Toronto's like playing Barnes at point guard and probably starting Grady Dick or Ochai Agbaji or Colin Murray Boyles. I don't think they're going to play like AJ Lawson as a starter or anything like that. It's hard to have a lot of interesting guys like Dick, but he is 3K with guard forward, so that's interesting if he starts. Agbaji, similar, 3-5, same positional stuff. There are a lot of moving parts. I think, if this injury news doesn't come till later, there's a lot of edge in late swapping for this situation with both teams. So that kind of keeps the slate interesting. Like there are ways to get different depending on how the news goes.
I mean, if we get in a situation where Quickly and Shed are out, I would be very interested in whoever doesn't end up getting the start. Obviously, Barnes would get a mega boost, but if we get a situation where like Walter is starting and Dick is off the bench or Agbaji, like those
starting
guys
anyway with.
If Agbaji starts and Dick is off the bench, like I would be more interested in Grady Dick at that point, just because Agbaji is not a high usage guy to begin with, but he certainly would not be high usage in the starting lineup with those other guys. So that would elevate Dick at 3K.
I was waiting for something.
That actually was not intentional. That beautiful Dick as elevated. It was.
Got it.
Elevated Dick.
Yeah. Oh, now it's just me all of a sudden. I don't know what happened to Kevin. But yeah. So depending on the news, you can pivot to Toronto stuff.
Sorry, I booted myself from the studio for some reason.
You're suspending yourself for your bad dick puns, I guess.
That's fair. Anyways, long story short, I would be interested in those punts for Toronto. My hope is Quickly and Shed just both play. And then if Shed is going to be chalky, though, as things stand, I'd be pretty interested in getting off of that if he and Quickly are both in. Because he's pretty chalky right now, 33%. That's pretty steep for a guy who has a pretty low floor.
I don't think he would be that, why? I don't understand why he would be that owned, especially with all the guard value in the first game.
Just because there's no real value on this slate. Like, people want to go get these studs relative to the slate.
They're not great studs. I feel like people are
I know.
Like, De Silva's going to be really owned. Doesn't look like Clarkson will be. I could just, if the ownership is what it is, like, I just continue to think that Clarkson is like such a good play.
Agreed.
Compared to these other guys.
100%. Okay, that is going to do it for us. Sorry for the snafu. I booted myself. But hopefully this breakdown helps you a little bit. If it does, hit the like button. That helps us out. Subscribe to the channel. That also helps us. And if you want even further advice for free, hit up our Discord linked in this video. You can come over there and talk shop, share your lineups, talk top plays for the slate, for NFL, MMA, and pretty much every other sport. We talk shop in there. And if you want premium core plays for tonight and every other slate that we do, hit up dfsbuild.com, just $5.99 a month, so you get access to all of that for one low rate. Thanks for watching and good luck.